So for the last 2 months, I've had the Gel-Nimbus 25 and I've been testing it out, ready to share with you my 100-mile review today. So this Gel-Nimbus from ASICS is the 25, the 25th version. It's a classic daily running shoe designed for neutral runners. Really been enjoying it in my training, and I'll share with you my full review after today's 20-kilometer run. If you're new to the channel, I'm currently training for the Osaka Marathon, so consider subscribing to follow that journey. My race, that marathon, at the end of February, so not long now. I've got 4 weeks to go, so I'm out on a nice 20-kilometer easy pace run today in the Gel-Nimbus 25s. So I'm back from my run, and before I jump into how I've used this shoe over the last 100 miles, as well as some likes and dislikes in my review, I thought I would talk you through some of the stats. So we'll start off with what's new. In the Gel-Nimbus 25, there's a brand new technology called Pure Gel. The Gel-Nimbus traditionally has some sort of gel aspect to it that's usually visible in the midsole, usually around the heel area of the Gel-Nimbus lineup. But this time it's hidden in that underneath the heel area in the midsole. There's this technology called Pure Gel. It's basically this little thin layer of this jelly-like material that's present in the heel of this shoe that just helps with that shock absorption. So when you're out there and you're landing on that mid to heel, you can feel that nice sort of cushioned jelly-like material underfoot, and it just helps improve the comfort, and I actually really enjoyed that compared to the Gel-Nimbus 24. The midsole is also slightly different in the Gel-Nimbus 25. It's the FF Blast Eco, which is ASICS' most eco-friendly midsole, and it's really good, nice and lightweight, but still nice and fairly responsive for those easy miles. And there's a lot more of it in this shoe as well. I think 20% more is what ASICS are saying in the Gel-Nimbus 25 compared to the 24. So it's a much more maximal cushioned Gel-Nimbus than we've seen in previous versions. So if you're somebody who prefers max cushion shoes, then this has definitely moved in that direction with this iteration. And the final changes come to the upper. We've got a bit more of a knit style. This tongue is a lot more stretchy, and we've also got some pull tabs here which make putting on the shoe and getting a good lockdown nice and secure there. But it's also the same sort of plushness you get in the Gel-Nimbus, especially around this heel area. Yeah, lots and lots of comfort there. And I think ASICS have really focused in on making this shoe as comfortable as possible. Final other stats to mention: in a UK8 it weighs 292 grams, so that's pretty reasonable for a daily trainer. And we have an 8mm drop in this one. I think it's around 41.5 in the heel, dropping to 33.5 in that midfoot. ASICS are a little bit funny the way they measure their shoes. I think they do it without the insole, so that may be a little bit different from what you see on the website, but from my measurements, around 40mm of stack height, so it's definitely a max cushioned shoe. And finally, on the outsole, we've got this new improved AHA Plus rubber. So yeah, this is ASICS' most durable rubber, very, very good in all conditions. I even used it on some trails, and it seems to be pretty adequate grip for those sort of buffed out trails. Not too technical, but I certainly didn't have any issues on the sort of muddy paths that I used this shoe on. And it's not really showing much signs of wear considering I put 100 miles into it. So I think it's going to be one that's definitely going to last. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. So moving on to my uses. Primarily I've used this for my easy runs. So in my training, easy runs make up around 80% of my running. So I'm always looking for an easy run shoe that's comfortable, that gets those miles in without any discomfort. And I also prefer a max cushion shoe just because it helps protect my legs so that when it comes to my next session, they feel nice and fresh. And this shoe definitely fits into that category for me. It's also been really good on my long runs. With that max cushion, it helps protect the legs. So towards the end of my long runs, I've been really enjoying this shoe because it just feels like it's offering me that little bit more protection than say some other shoes would, certainly more than the Gel-Nimbus 24 did, which is definitely an improvement for me. And I'd also consider using this shoe as a marathon racing shoe. If you're somebody who's maybe more on the beginner side of things and looking just to complete your first marathon, this shoe has the comfort and the amount of cushioning to fall into that sort of marathon day category as well. I personally wouldn't race in it. I'd prefer to use something a little bit more suited to speed, something like the ASICS MetaSpeed Plus. Or even the Edge. I've been really enjoying that shoe in my training. But for somebody who's looking just to get around their first marathon in comfort and with a good amount of cushioning, then the Gel-Nimbus 25 is also an option you may want to consider. So moving on to the review aspect of this video, I like to do some likes and dislikes for every shoe I get here on the channel to review. So we'll start with the likes. First thing is the durability. For me, as I said, I've run 100 miles in this shoe and it's showing very little signs of wear. There is a little bit of breakdown here on the midsole where there's not that sort of more hardened rubber, and I expect after a few more 100 miles this area here may start to break down a little bit, where the sort of midsole is a little bit more exposed. But overall, the durability has been really good. The midsole doesn't seem to have sort of compressed at all, and it still feels like it's got a lot of energy return, the same as when I took it out of the box, so that's always good. Another big plus point for me in this shoe is the midsole. For me it's a perfect sort of combination of being not too soft and not too firm, and that's exactly what I look for in my daily trainers. As Goldilocks would say, it feels just right underfoot. My third like for this shoe is the comfort. There's no denying it, the ASICS have really nailed it in terms of designing a shoe that's comfortable. After all, this has been claimed by ASICS as the most comfortable running shoe, and it's definitely the most comfortable I've tried from the ASICS lineup. So full credit to them there. Just the upper is super plush, get a really nice lockdown, and yeah, that midsole with that pure gel technology offers a really comfortable ride. Another thing I really have liked about this shoe is the increase in the amount of midsole, the amount of foam underfoot. It just feels a little bit more versatile for me, so I can use it for my easy runs and also for long runs, whereas the Gel-Nimbus 24, I felt like it needed a little bit more foam underfoot sometimes towards the end of my longer runs. So yeah, an improvement for me is that increase in stack height. So moving on to some dislikes. For me, it was a very, very comfortable ride, but in terms of sort of energy return, it doesn't have the same sort of poppiness that something like the Nova Blast 3 has, or even the MetaSpeed Sky Plus. So that's just something to note. It's more of a traditional daily trainer in terms of how it feels. So it's not necessarily the most exciting ride, but then again, yeah, the comfort levels are very high with this one. And the only other final sort of downside for me is the price point. It's sort of at the very upper limit of what I would be willing to spend for a daily trainer at £170. That being said, durability has been good so far, and the build quality here, as with all ASICS shoes, is very high. So to summarise this video, who would I recommend this shoe to, and what is my final verdict? So I'd recommend this for somebody looking for an easy day shoe that's focused on comfort. This definitely ticks that box. For me, easy runs, long runs, and you may even want to consider using this as a marathon racing option if you're more of a beginner runner, somebody who's looking maybe to complete their first marathon in a shoe that's comfortable, but they can also do their training in. This one fits into that category. For me personally, ASICS have designed a shoe here that's pretty much perfect for my daily mileage. The midsole is really a plus point for me. It's not too soft, not too firm. It's just in that right sort of category for me, where it just feels like the miles sort of just go by nice and easy, which is exactly what you want. And yeah, that comfort factor always comes into play when picking a shoe when you've got to go out for a run, when maybe your legs are feeling a little bit on the tired side. I'd also recommend this shoe to somebody who's looking for a durable option. I expect to be able to get at least 400, 500 miles out of this one, no problem. And yeah, as with all ASICS shoes, it's clearly built to last. So yeah, that's my final verdict. A pretty good option here for the daily miles. Not quite as fun and exciting as something like the Nova Blast, but in terms of comfort, it definitely trumps it. So if you've enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. If you'd like to see some more ASICS content, then consider watching this video from the ASICS Meta Time Trials out in Malaga this summer, where this shoe here, the ASICS MetaSpeed Plus, was first run in by the elites. It was a pretty good event to go along to. But until next time, aspire to run, run to inspire, and we'll see you again soon.